Welcome, guys. What's good? What's poppin'? It's your girl, Amara La Negra. You already know. And you're listening to Exactly Amara, a production of iHeart Radio. Thank you guys for tuning in every Thursday. You already know every show is different. Every show I have something important to say, at least to me. And I love the fact that you like to listen. With that being said, as usual, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to rate us 5 stars. Ya tú sabes, mi amor. Those 5 stars, tú sabes, because I have to keep growing. Y don't forget to share this podcast with every single person that you know, especially if the podcast hit home for you and you feel like, you know what? I know a friend, I know a cousin, I know somebody that needs to hear this. Mi amor, don't be stingy with the podcast. Pass it down. Bueno, with that being said, I'm super excited because today I have such an amazing guest. He is an amazing actor. He's a producer. He's mi amigo del alma. Even though we haven't had the opportunity of spending too much time together, I love the way that we support each other. Somos Latinos. We're super close to our family. He's also the host of Essential Voices on my Cultura podcast network. Somos de la misma familia. Recientemente se casó, tuvo una bebé. I mean, his life has evolved and changed so much from when I first saw him on TV. I am so proud to have today on Exactly Amara, Wilmer Valderrama. Mi amor, ¿cómo tú estás?
Amara, ¿cómo te quiero? ¿Cómo te quiero, amor?
Y yo a ti, cuéntame, ¿dónde estás?
Aquí estoy en Los Ángeles, California en este momento. De raro, como una vez al año que pasa, pues está lloviendo hoy aquí en Los Ángeles. Tengo el primer día off. You know, I'm off for the first time in like a while today, so I have a day to just catch up on office stuff, and everything's good. You know, I'm very happy to be able to talk to you, and I'm so proud of the show you've created and how transparent and how candid and how vulnerable you've been on your show, and it's inspiring to see you go out there and lead with our culture first and follow with your heart and your humor. And I'm just so proud to be here with you.
Amen. Thank you so much. And you know what? I too am proud to know that we're both part of the same family, my Cultura podcast a network that gave us an opportunity to celebrate nuestra cultura, celebrate who we are, give us a platform. For those that haven't heard your podcast, what is it about? What's the vibe? A ver, dile un poquitico, a little tease.
So, I mean, to give you a few lines on it, at the beginning of the pandemic, we were experiencing a lot of dividing forces, right? A lot of our communities were being left to kind of fight on their own. And I think as soon as the pandemic happened, we were kind of forced to look at one another and really support each other on a community level. I think it woke up a lot of stuff. I mean, a lot of bad stuff and a lot of good stuff in society. I think that there's a lot of things that kind of came to surface during the pandemic that was really odd and really weird and really complicated to understand. And even the people that you love the most and you thought of the world of, when the moment of desperation and pandemic and the uncertainty of what it really was happened, different elements, different caricature traits started waking up in people. So I went to the grocery store and I saw my grocery store worker and I said, "Hey, how you doing through this whole thing?" And she said, "I'm doing okay." And I said, Why are you just okay? What's wrong?" And she said, "People were so mean. People were just, going off on them just because they didn't have toilet paper."
Right.
And I think about those moments where the canned food and the toilet paper was threatened to be, low, and people were going crazy over their toilet paper, and people were going off on the grocery store workers in a weird way. And she straight up said to me that people would call the grocery store and she would pick up and be like, "Hey, do you guys have any toilet paper, or canned food?" And be like, "Well, we're running out, but we're going to get another shipment tomorrow." And they'd be like, "Well, then you don't have any toilet paper?" And be like, "Well, we don't have toilet paper now." And this person was straight up being like, "Well, fuck you. I hope you get COVID and died."
Okay.
And would hang up, and this was the type of stuff that our grocery store workers were receiving while they by themselves, also are receiving 400-600 people at a time in a grocery store and then putting themselves in danger and then having to go back to their families. So the level of stress, I just thought that we needed perspective. So I created a thing on Instagram that was ultimately like my 6 feet apart chats, and it was just like having a conversation with an essential worker.
Right.
And that turned into the idea to start a podcast and really, really elevate their contribution, who they were before, who they are now, and who they will still be, after this pandemic is gone.
Yeah, I love the fact that you thought about that because a lot of times, and I talk about it all the time too. Celebrities, artists, and influencers, people that are blessed to have a platform, is not just about the part of entertainment, which we're blessed to be good at what we do. That's great, but
Right.
the fact that we also use our platforms to show light and bring light and awareness on things that are happening in our community. We figure out ways to uplift our community, our people, all these things overall. I think that should really be appreciated because not all of us do it. And it takes a lot of balls and guts to do it. So I
Mhm.
personally want to thank you for your podcast and what you're doing for your community, for our fellow Latinos, our Latinx community. We need more people like you. And with that being said, I know that you, por ser tan buena gente y tener tan buen corazón, papá Dios te bendice pila. Y parte de eso ha sido the fact that you just recently welcomed a baby girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
Felicidades. How do you feel? How was the before and after? Like let's say when she was pregnant, obviously you knew that the baby was there, pero now that you had the
Mhm.
opportunity de oírla llorando, de verla, los mulitos, los bracitos, los buchitos, how was
Yeah.
that process for you?
It was really interesting. I think that you go your whole life and you know that at some point that's something that you will most likely embark in, having a family, having a home, and all of that. And as artists, I mean, you kind of devote so much of yourself to try to make this happen, and once you get some level of stability and you feel like it's time, and FYI, you're never really ready. Like people are like, I'm ready for this. Like the truth of the matter is you're never really prepared, and that's okay because something wakes up in you, something is in you already that's ready to engage the moment that becomes a reality. And I think that's what happened for me. I was very ready at some point. I felt like I had built my home. My mom didn't need anything, my dad didn't need anything, my sisters were cool, my nephew was growing up to be awesome, and I just said to myself, like, it's really an exciting time to start a family, but first you have to find a partner. You got to find
Right.
someone that shares the same values, and that you're like-minded, and you want pretty much the same thing, and that you're willing to fight to defend it and to keep it and to make it
How long were
work,
you guys dating before you guys decided to get married? Because once you get married, ya tú sabes para donde tú vas. Like you already know, yeah, that's it. We're locking it in. We're gonna have a family.
Yeah.
This is what it is. But that dating process, because I think that a lot of people cuando ven a los artistas, ellos te ven como que your life must be perfect. Everything is great for you. You must find love all the time. And it's like,
Yeah.
no, even for us, it's hard to find the right person to go through the process.
Yeah.
¿Cómo tú decidiste, ok, esta va a ser la mujer para mí? This is the one that I'm
It-
going to have my
it's
family with.
it's it's funny that you say that because you're right. I mean, people think like, oh, you're an artist, so I mean, you might have, there's so many different. And the truth is, in my life, in 26 years of my career, I've only had like, probably about 5 serious relationships
Right.
because you know you you go to long periods of times where you kind of start you start kind of giving in to what you think you probably should have, when really you don't ever ask yourself, what are your real needs? What do you
Mm.
want from a partner? What do you really need from a partner? And I think
Mhm.
that was important for me as I kind of grew up and it started evolving, and understanding, and I was changing, right? I was changing, and I feel like your needs started changing at some point. You become someone that loves to be there for people,
Right.
loves to show up for people, and then uh in the process you forget a little bit about the fact that you got to show up for yourself,
Yes.
and you never ask yourself, what do you need, what do you want today, what do you feel today, because as soon as you get up, you're of service, right? I mean,
Yeah.
as an artist, you give yourself to your audience, you give yourself to your
Yes.
family, you give yourself to everything, and sometimes you're depleted, you're
Yeah. Who
sad,
gives back to
you're
you? Who feels back
it's
into
tough.
you? Yeah. Oh my
And the fan
God.
love is awesome, right? Like, it's beautiful to get a feedback when you provide entertainment and
Pero no es lo
people
mismo.
connect it. But there's not there's another level of it where there's a humanity side to the artist that sometimes gets forgotten. So I started really searching about what is it that I really need from a partner, what is it that I really want at home, and I wanted someone that also took care of me too, so
Yeah.
so that was one of the things. And I think that when I met Amanda was, she was also a fixer,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
two fixers in one relationship was interesting, but but it was like, no, I'll do it. No, you do it. No, I'll do it. No, I'll do it. And it was kind of charming and sweet to see that we were both willing to do things that we kind of hadn't done for ourselves before.
Now you have to give yourself and spread and divide tu tiempo también to give yourself as a father. Because obviously your baby girl is going to need you. She needs you, obviously. Yeah. Está chiquita todavía, pero en lo que va creciendo, you still don't want to miss out on those opportunities of seeing her,
for sure,
grow, her first words, talking, running, todas esas experiencias. How do you figure out time between the work, because you're very busy, between work, filming, learning scripts, esto lo otro, doing your podcast, still being a great husband, taking care of your family? O sea, how do you divide your time now that you're a father?
Yeah, well, so we picked up our priorities, right? So it was really important. It's really important, and I love that you're mentioning that, because I think there so much is about balance, and so much is about setting expectations and priorities, and I think that first, when you are welcoming a child into your family, I think it's important that you have that conversation. What is going to be our contribution? What is going to be our partnership? And it really is 100 and 100. It's not 50-50, man. It's like you both got to put in 100%. And you got to think about the things. You got to foresee, you got to answer a question before it's asked. Okay. And you got to solve a problem before it is one. Right. And I think that in those type of conversations, it really takes partnership. You got to be very vulnerable. You got to be very open. And I think, as a male myself, right, as a man, specifically as a Latino man, there's certain expectations from you, and it's also important to understand that. But you ask a very important question, which is like, how do you find that time? How do you find that balance? No matter
I'm
how
trying
ambitious
to
you are.
I'm trying to figure it out myself, because you're doing it and I'm like, bueno, coño, él lo acaba de hacer. And then I'm like, I'm thinking already, bueno, as soon as I give birth, I have to go back to work. I can't wait too long. How do you divide?
But I will
time?
I will tell you, Amara, I will say this, and I will offer the following, that this is a very iconic moment for your life, and that deserves, you to be present and be in the moment. And a lot of times we start thinking about, okay, well, I got to get back to work, I got to do the thing. But, you should allow yourself to submerge yourself in that experience, because it really is a gift. It really is a miracle. And that happened and was given to you, and these babies chose you, and then in those first couple of months, you really want to connect. You want to run a being content with that. You don't want to worry about too much of the frequency. And that's one of the things that I really wanted for Amanda. I wanted her to really focus on this experience, to go through the emotions, to really sit in with it, and really understand that everything was going to be taken care of. And, and as a man, I mean, this is to the fellas who listen to your show too. I got to say, like, if you have a friend, or if you one of your boys tells you, oh, well, they have most of the work, you just kind of have to be there, it's absolutely bullshit. Okay, like,
thank you.
If you're
Let
not
them
doing,
know.
No, I'm gonna tell you something. Like, I very, very quickly I realized that as a man, you gotta do what she doesn't have to, and that is a lot. Okay, like, and also you gotta think about, your woman is so focused on making sure this child has, it's food, it's rest, she's whatever the baby needs. The woman is so devoted to making sure that this child is fed, that she forgets to eat herself. She forgets to drink water herself.
Yeah.
And like, in that moment, those little things that you can do just to show up, making sure that while she's breastfeeding or giving the baby the bottle, that you are also giving her water, that you also feeding her food, because she will forget and she will skip meals, and that's a mood stabilizer.
Didn't you see her a little bit different once you saw how her body transformed and what she was willing to do? Like, because I think that sometimes los hombres, porque ellos físicamente, they don't have to go through it, they may not understand the fact that, by the way, does she push?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, she deserves you. You better have given her flowers y todo. Because your body changes. She sacrificed everything, mi amor. Mira,
Yeah.
she opened like a tunnel just to give birth to another human
It was
being.
unbelievable. I was there. I mean, I saw the whole thing. I mean, I was there for supporting her, helping her. I was holding her hand. I was in one hand and she had her left. I had her left leg, and the other one I had the back of her neck. You know, and and I was coaching, and I was talking over the doctor, and I was
lindo.
overdoing it, and I was doing the most. And it is a magical thing, and it made me look at. First of all, I've always had the appreciation. My sister had a baby, so
Yeah.
like when she was like 19,
Yeah.
and that was a really unpredictable time,
Right, right.
But I will say that seeing what my sister went through made me really appreciate it. Witnessing it myself with my woman and seeing the birth of my child and seeing what Amanda did for us,
Yes.
it just changed everything in my life. I mean, it's absolutely unbelievable, and to see her make it look easy, not complain, just go through the emotions, and and it's hard.
Yeah.
It's an emotional thing, and it's an emotional endeavor, and it's a journey. So I'm doing my best to try to do that. And if you ever ask me to give you a word of advice, is to really embrace the moment. Just sit through the moment. Don't be in a hurry to get to any other phase of this. Every day is gonna be perfect, as imperfect as it may be,
Amen.
because that's the day you had to be, in order to are right. It's for
Right.
both of you to be. So I
Amen.
think it's a very important time. And the thing is, we forget, because as artists, we're like, we gotta get to work. We got how do we get back in the swing of things?
Yeah.
But give yourself that time, because you'll never have that time.
No, and also as a
you'll never have
woman,
the
and
time
also
again.
as a woman, your body changes. Y todo, we are somewhat, in my case, somewhat sexualized, and I get it because sex sells. I get that part. So everybody expects you automatically, especially as a woman, as soon as you give birth, mi amor, we need you to have a six-pack, cinturita, everything together. We need you tight. And they say, hold on, it took me 9 months to create a whole human being. Your whole body is changing, transforming. You can't expect me to go snap back, within a month or two. But now, talking about that, you're a father in a modern age, right? What are your biggest fears? Because I'm not gonna lie, I am blessed to have 2 girls, pero I was hoping to have a boy, and part of it was because I wanted to raise one good man. I always said, yo quiero criar un buen hombre en este mundo. But at the same time, it was part of my own personal fears of knowing that for women is so much harder in this world. Tienes que protegerla, cuidarla. O sea, las niñas. What are your personal fears as a father this age now that you have a baby girl?
Well, I mean, look, you are an example, and you are a woman that has contributed to the liberation of a lot of the perception and inheritance of oppression for women.
Oh,
and
amen.
you got to be proud of that.
Thank
So your daughters are going to be born in a world that's very, very different than the one you did. And it's don't get it twisted. I mean, this is a woman's world now, officially.
I
You're
agree.
seeing you're seeing world leaders, female world leaders. You're seeing in television and film, most of our lead actresses are the ones leading the chart when it comes to blockbuster and television. So I think what I'm saying is that pop culturally, they're going to be welcoming into a world where they will have choices, unlike the ones that my sisters did.
Right, right.
There will be a desensitization of the actual perception of what she is meant to be as a woman, and she will have a choice. And so that's hopeful for me. That makes me excited. I think that she will grow up with the ability and the freedom to learn any skill she wants, to get any education she wants, if she wants to.
Yeah.
And I think you should really feel proud of what you have contributed, Amara, as a woman and as a voice, because you are also putting brakes in the road she will walk on. And I think it's important to trust that.
Yeah.
And feel good about that. But all in all, I agree. I can't wait to have a son as well. But having a daughter first.
Oh my God. Social media. Mira, social media. The music that we listen to now, like, okay, growing up, my mom would listen to, qué sé yo, José José, Luis Miguel, un merenguito, this and that. And the lyrics were like, baila apretadito, no sé qué, and it was great. Now it's like, I'm a bad bitch. I want a Hermes bag. And I'm like, oh my God, what are my babies going to listen to? What's happening? So it's like
so real. That's so real.
everything has changed. Now when your baby girl grows up and she's in her teenage years, what?
Yeah.
Because we got OnlyFans now. I don't even know what's going to come out later.
Oh, God. Don't even say that out loud. Don't even say that shit out loud. OnlyFans. Don't even say that out loud.
So it's like, how do you prepare as a father now for what's to come? I have fears, and I'm a woman as a mother because yo sé lo que las muchachitas están haciendo. From, the way that you grew up, what are some of the influences you think that you will, kind of give to your daughters from the things that you learned or grew up with?
Here's the thing. And you have the same gift and skill that I have as well, which is we've never forgotten, no matter how long we've been in America, we've never forgotten the values of our culture.
Correct. True.
Okay. So as much as I fear the new inheritance of technology and what their peers are going to be doing, I think that it's important that we continue to fight and drill the values of our culture. Most importantly, the essence of who we are as people, right? Yeah, we are celebratory. We are very, very colorful, but it is in our music, in our stories, and in our traditions that builds their character.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we have to trust that a little bit. That as much as we want them to assimilate to everyone they go to school with, when they come home, salsa music should be on the radio.
Así mismo. Yes.
You feel me? Like, the lunch has got to be frijoles, tajadas, and arroz. ¿Sí me entiendes? Like we got to make sure that when they come home, it feels unlike anything they need outside.
True.
And I think it's important to also trust that as well. So I think when you ask me, like, what are the values, that's first, and I also want her to really, and God willing, I have mi mamá and mi papá a little bit longer so that my daughter can really have conversations. I want them to ask questions.
Yes.
I want her to really know her grandmother unlike I ever met her and me. And I'll tell you, this was crazy. I went to lunch with my mom like a year ago. And I asked my mom, I was like, Mom, did you, when you were young, when you were like, I don't know, like 19 or 20 or whatever, like where were you in school when you were, what was your favorite thing in school? And she's like, well, I was really good at math. So I got a job at a doctor's office and I was a receptionist and I would do the appointments for the doctors. And I was like, you worked at a doctor's office?
Exactly.
What? I didn't, my brain was melting. Like I had no
idea.
I was like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's so incredibly important that we
ask questions, that we know who they are. Is true. It is true. I agree 1,000%. And you even know what I would love to do? Maybe te lo voy a compartir ideas, cosas mías, whatever. I would love, I'm not saying I'm gonna do a whole life documentary, but I would love to record my mom and have her just talk about your youth, talk about just so that I can have it. Because Dios no quiera, tomorrow, God forbid, something were to happen. I want to be able to have those stories, not just in my head, but also be able to share it with my daughters, share with my granddaughters. This was your grandma. This is what she said. This is what her life experience were, all those things. And we use technology so much just for us. Why not also use it for our parents and to have and save those memories? It's like back in the days, we used to print out pictures. I have albums and albums and albums of baby pictures. These days, if the internet were to break down, our phones were to disappear, the iCloud le pasó una vaina, all my memories and all my things
gone,
vanished.
Gone.
So that's definitely one of those things that I feel that we should figure out ways. Now I'm going to ask you one last question because I know you have to go, but I grew up in a household bien dominicana, bien latina. Mi primer idioma es el español. I'm very proud to speak Spanish, but growing up and being born in Miami, I just didn't feel like I needed to speak Spanish because what? I go to school, my friends speak English, esto y lo otro. In your case, the father of my babies is Latino, so we both speak English, we both speak Spanish, pero nos vamos a asegurar de que nuestras hijas hablen español. En tu caso, tu esposa es americana, right?
Well, she's half Mexican.
Okay. Es mitad mexicana.
Yeah, she's half Mexican, half white, but she is also taking Spanish classes because she, it's funny because we had the gift You and your guy had the gift that we were taught Spanish at a really young age, but a lot of Latinos in America, and a lot of our listeners, they
Spanglish.
unfortunately, grew up in a different, generation where sometimes our parents, and I'm not saying my dad and my mom because they could not be more Colombian Venezuelan, right? But I'm saying some of our Hispanic or Latino community in the United States came, from parents whose grandparents said, "You're in America, you only speak English."
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
You're in America, this is how you dress, this is what you listen to. When you're here, you do this.
They were trying to make them adapt.
They were trying to make it adapt, which in many ways they were trying to keep them safe.
Right.
And what happened is that then now those parents grew up not knowing how to speak Spanish. And now those kids have this interest. And I'm talking about the generation that listens to you and that listens to me and that is growing up right now.
Right.
Now they have an interest to be Latino more than ever.
Mm-hmm.
Now they want to be Latino. And now they look at the parents like, why don't I speak Spanish?
Right.
So I think that to your point, I think that my daughter, my mom speaks to her only in Spanish.
Okay.
My dad speaks to her only in Spanish. I mean, she's only 10 months old.
No
right?
importa, para que vayas recogiendo palabritas. Right.
Exacto. So then my wife is straight up in the middle of Spanish classes. She speaks Spanish now and all that.
Yeah.
But but we forget because we speak English so often that we ourselves forget to talk in Spanish back to them.
Yes.
So you got to make an effort. You got to really make an effort. And I'm gonna make sure that Spanish is her first language, even though she was born in America.
Most definitely. I agree 1,000%. And that's part of us not losing our culture, us not losing our essence, is being able to at least try. You don't have to know perfectly, but at least try to also maintain that Latino language in your household, and especially while you're raising your kids. In my case, my mom only speaks Spanish, un inglés machucado terrible. Only I understand her, but I think that I too will do my best to teach my children Spanish because I obviously in this country, the more languages you know, mejor todavía. Eso no perjudica a nadie. But with that being said, Wilmer, de verdad, thank you so much for coming in today. I am so grateful for you. I wish you nothing but the best now in your new stage as a father, como esposo, como actor, como hijo, with everything that you're doing. You're amazing. I am blessed to have you on my podcast. And Conchale,
can I tell you something?
Cuéntame.
Can I just say something to you?
Yes.
And something that nobody offered my lady and me at the beginning of this experience. One thing that was really important to us, and I kind of, I'll leave you with this, but it's important that I say this to you because, man, I watch you and I see you grow, and I am so proud, to call you a friend and like hermanita del alma también, and even though we're from the East Coast and the West Coast, I'm just so incredibly proud. We don't have anyone like you, and we needed you for so long. And I just want you to really come full circle to this one thought. Like when you first came to in a situation and you're about to, be a parent, everyone offers you the horror stories, right? First, they're like, oh, it's this and this, and you lose that and forget about intimacy and da-da-da-da-da-da. And like immediately they're like, but, and then they follow it with like, but you're going to be fine. But it's going to be great. And you're like, how the hell does,
right.
How does that even make sense? So I just want you to trust yourself. That even if you don't read one book, even if you don't ever ask anyone one question, that everything is in you already. And that you absolutely will soar as a beautiful mom. At the moment that you continue to hold these beautiful children of God and give you this beautiful essence, something else is going to wake up and it's going to make you even more powerful. And as a woman, you're going to know that absolutely anything really is possible. And someone with your drive, you're going to build empires that are going to be able to be shared. And those empires' mission and statement are going to be to change the world. And you are going to continue to build the tools and you're going to have the resources to continue to make a difference. And I just want you to keep swinging. And I want you to never forget that there's some of us out here that will do anything to make sure that you continue to win because we need you to. We need you now more than ever. And those children are lucky to have you as a mommy too, because to be that free as a mommy, to be that free is going to be liberating for them as well. But I just wanted to offer that because nobody really taught us that, nobody told us that it really could be as simple as just go with the flow.
Right.
I mean, we learned to push in the room, by the way.
Yes.
Like how do we push?
Yeah.
You know?
How do we make it better?
And-
yeah, it is
so-
true. And I'm grateful for those words, because I'm sure that there's somebody out there right now listening to this podcast that also needed to listen and hear that. So definitely, I'm so grateful for your words. Y pues nada, by the way, guys, ustedes saben que también no se pueden perder el podcast de él. Thank you guys so much for joining me. And remember to follow Exactly Amara on Instagram and on Twitter. Also follow My Cultura Podcast on Instagram, YouTube channel. If you want to see it, if you had a chance to hear it, but now you want to see it, you can go check it out on YouTube at Amara La Negra ALN or Amara La Negra or Exactly Amara. This has been a production of iHeart Radio's My Cultura Podcast Network. And for more podcasts from iHeart, visit the iHeart Radio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I am so grateful. It's your girl, Amara La Negra. I'll see you guys next Thursday on Exactly Amara.